Welcome back, everyone.
Oh, you're going to kick it off. I like it. Do it.
Welcome to another episode of Option 5, where we say yes and figure it out. Which is exactly what we're doing with this new series. But we think we have a good handle on it. So if you're joining us for the first time, Option 5 podcast is a story. It's musings, it's beliefs, it's a philosophy of how we think work is done best. It started off with a few episodes, 10 to 11, around what is a product team.
Our goal was 12.
Our goal was 12.
Fell a little short.
Well, if you include the trailer, I think we're there.
Oh, okay, cool. Keep going.
So I think, because the trailer was episode 0. So we were talking about product teams and the way we work at Crema. Crema, we are a product studio and we build solutions, provide coaching, consulting, product strategy for clients. And we do that through cross-discipline teams. We learn well in craft teams and the difference between craft teams and product teams. Product teams are those that you provide your skill to. It's where you exercise your skill.
It's where you do your work.
It's where you do your work. It's the field of play, so to speak.
Usually cross-discipline.
Cross-discipline.
Relatively small.
Craft teams is where you hone your craft. It's where you learn. It's where you try new things. It's where you experiment. It's where you execute discipline so that you can get better. So that was season 1. We're not calling it season, but it's kind of nice to think of things in chapters, in chapter our Crema life.
Turning the page to chapter 2.
Then chapter 2 was where we wanted to interview individuals that are on the front lines working. So these were product managers, designers, other individuals in the tech space that are working within product teams. They're leading product teams, and we wanted to hear what works for them. What works for them as far as the processes they use, tips and tricks, what makes their company work well, things that we could learn and glean from them. Turn the page into chapter 3, and George and I, over the last several episodes, have been unpacking what we believe has made us, I guess you want to use the word successful over the last 10 years. That's where we are, and we are looking back and what are the things, what are the practices, what are the beliefs, what are the things around our culture that we feel has gotten us here.
What's helped us to thrive.
Right. What's helped us to thrive. And it's what we believe is going to propel us the next 10 years. And it's been interesting to just have that milestone, or I guess have this moment in our journey to where let's look back, what went well, what didn't go well, and what do we want to do better going forward. And we feel like the pillars, or what were we calling them?
Elements.
Molecules. Yes. The elements that form this.
I never connected the word element to the molecule. I don't know why.
Oh, that's why I did say it.
It was obvious, but I was more thinking about the picture.
Anywho,
we're making molecules.
Yes, we're making molecules, and that the elements that make up that molecule are postures, disciplines, and structures. And we believe that these elements, when they are combined in a culture of learning and a culture of curiosity, can build a company culture or organizational culture that gets you to the next level. And that's what we're talking about today. Today, we are going to be unpacking a particular posture, one that we employ or utilize or
talk about a lot.
We talk about a lot. We want it. We look for it when we hire people. We look for it when we're coaching. We look for it in one-on-ones. We look for it in our clients. And it's this aspect of humble confidence. Say what? Those are... What did you just do there? That was fantastic. I wanted to create a bridge,
like to break up the seriousness.
Yeah. Humble, yet confident.
Your face is gonna replay in my brain for the rest of this day.
How do these two terms, which seem
humble,
opposed to one another, but yet opposites attract? Humble confidence. So George, I'm going to read a couple definitions here from Mr. Merriam-Webster. Actually, I don't think it's one person. I don't even know where Merriam-Webster comes from. But humility means the state of being humble, not proud or haughty, not arrogant or assertive. Confidence a feeling or consciousness of one's power or of reliance on one's circumstances. So on one hand, there's this idea of not being puffed up, not being arrogant. Some might say making yourself low. Confidence, this feeling of, or consciousness, you're conscientious about your ability, your power, your reliance on yourself. But combining those two together, we feel forms a different posture. And so what is humble confidence, George? And follow-up question that we'll probably go into, I know we'll go into, is the idea of what is it not?
Yeah, so I think humble confidence is something we've been using for a long time. We heard it through another organization in our life, and I think it is definitely this idea of believing in something maybe bigger than ourselves. It's this idea of holding things loosely, understanding we have so much room to grow. Yet, being confident about what we believe, what we're capable of doing. You're still coughing.
I know, I'm sorry.
It's okay. What we're capable of doing, having that confidence to actually move something forward. I think it's also something that we think about not only individualistically, though it is one of the primary traits that we look for when we're hiring. But it's something that we also love to see the posture of the organization and the teams work this way. And I would credit humble confidence as being one of the primary drivers for why clients want to continue to work with us. We had a situation, I'll use a story.
Stories.
I love stories. I'm trying to do better.
Story time.
Yeah, story time. George Brooks. That one time. So we had a situation where we had a client that was working with one of our employees a few years back. And they're a relatively new employee. And this client trusted me or knew me. And so he reached out and he said, "Hey, George, I want to talk to you. I know you guys have said this thing. I think he brought up this idea that he knew that we had this idea of humble confidence. Don't quote me on that. He might not have known that. Anyways, he came back and he said, here's the deal. This guy that you put on the project, it's just not working for us. He's not the experience I had with you. That's fair. I mean, I'm one of the owners, so I have a little bit of extra influence there. And I said, well, what do you mean? He goes, well, here's the deal. He's cocky and he's wrong. I was like, well, you can't be those two things at the same time.
Right. If you're going to be cocky,
you better be right.
That's right.
And if you're going to be wrong, you should be humble about it. And so it really painted a picture for almost the exact opposite of what humble confidence ought to be. So this idea that we can be confident, the line that you can cross very quickly in confidence is cocky. Like there was an organization, another agency, not in Kansas City, and their whole thing was, we're smarter than you, was like their tagline.
Right.
And I thought, wow, that's just cocky.
Right. I hope you're right.
Yeah.
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
Right. And because as soon as they're wrong, now they can be called out on their core purpose of being smarter than you.
Right.
Well, you know what? I'm not smarter than most of the people in this building, let alone our clients who've been in their industry way longer than we have.
Right.
So having that humility to say, I have a lot to learn from you. I want to learn from you. I want to grow with you, but I'm confident I can bring something to the table.
Right.
I can help.
Yeah. Humble confidence is one of those things where I always I knew it when I saw it. I know how to embody it, or the different postures or different ways that individuals on our team do embody it. I can see it in teams, but I would have a hard time writing it down until the other day. Someone said something of humble confidence is when you're basically looking outside yourself and you're confident in something that greater than yourself. Like you're a part of it.
Oh,
like you bring value to it.
Yeah.
But the confidence is in the greater whole that you're a part of.
Maybe the confidence in the purpose.
Yeah, the confidence in the purpose, or being a part of something greater than yourself.
Yeah, I like that.
So if you're at work and you're part of a team, humble confidence is, yes, I have a competency. I'm working hard to grow my skill set. I know I have value, and my confidence is what I can do together with my team. that what the team can do, the idea of being better together.
Yeah.
It's like we are better together than any one individual. To me, that gave a little bit more granularity and a little bit more flavor around what humble confidence is. Excuse me.
It's just get so emotional about it.
I'm choked up.
I think we oftentimes will parallel with the statement with holding things loosely. So we're going to grab onto something and say, we believe this is the direction we're to go. And we've made a decision to go this direction because honestly, the lack of decision blocks any movement or growth. So we made a decision, we're moving it this direction, but we're going to hold it loosely. Now, that isn't that we're not confident that the direction's maybe the right direction to go or that we're going to go that way. It's just, if it has to change, we're okay with that. Or we'll be ready for it when it comes. And I think that posture of humble confidence has just been something that has just been ringing through. And honestly, the team picked up really quickly. Everyone here in this organization can tell you that's one of the primary things we look for and one of the primary things that we watch for. And I think it can go two ways. So I mentioned the cocky and wrong, but I think the other way it can go wrong on the individual level is that someone is self-deprecating. Is that right? Self-degrading?
Yeah, self-deprecating, don't degrade yourself. Yeah, absolutely. That's not what humility is.
Right. So, humility being if you took the spectrum of humility, they take humility and they go all the way out till it's, they no longer have a positive view of themselves.
Right.
And that's not what we want.
Right.
That's not at all what we're suggesting.
In essence, it's another form of pride because you're putting the focus on yourself.
Right. Right, which goes back to what you just said, which is humble confidence really values the perspective of the other.
Right.
And I think this ties back to the whole story, right? If we're thinking about cross-discipline teams have the capability to work agile and to really move things forward quickly and produce the best solutions in the world. I think it's primarily because we've reduced or destroyed silos, which would cause a person to just look only inward, which then he would either cause them to maybe have a low self-view of themselves or say, I'm on an island and I'm the king of this island. So they have an overly high view of themselves.
Yep.
Instead, they go, you know what? I value the perspective of the rest of the people on this team. And this team is going to value the perspective of our users to gather feedback from them and work in an iterative style and loop and learn to make a great product or experience for our customers. Those are all I'm confident we can make the best app, the best platform for you to do incredible work inside your organization. Or I believe I can make a platform that will help you to connect with people all over the world for great reasons. But I'm humble enough to know, I don't know exactly what that app will be like until we test it with you.
And I'm confident in the team behind us.
We can build that tech.
Yeah, that's going to be in the room to help build it. Yeah, it's like someone asks you a question, you're like, you know what? I don't know, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And knowing that you'll be able to figure it out because if you get in the room with the right people, the right solution will present itself. Not that you'll figure it out because on your own accord, because you're smart enough and so awesome, though you may be fairly competent.
Right.
But the idea that you'll figure it out knowing because you have a wonderful team with you, humble confidence.
And I think what that also leads to is the discipline of kind of this master apprenticeship relationship. So if you're focusing on saying, I want to become better at my craft, it really requires you to seek the input of another person, not only for perspective, but also for growth and learning. So we have an apprenticeship program here at Crema, and it's so cool to see when that apprentice steps in, if they have the right posture of humble confidence, they aren't going to be like, well, I don't know how to do this. I just want you to teach me. It's like, no, I think I can actually start writing some code, and then or whatever the apprenticeship is for, and I'm going to sit next to someone who can help me to get even better, so that maybe one day I can be the master training somebody else, or I can be the practitioner that's really good at this, that's passing along my knowledge, which goes back to our kind of workflow.
Right. Yep. So how does this, or what would be signs of humble confidence within your team? How does it play out in the workplace?
I think, I
was going to say, and I think it starts out in the interviews.
Yeah. I mean, it has to start early.
Yeah. So
the biggest mistakes we've ever made in hiring is because we found out the person wasn't humbly confident later.
right. So a lot of times candidates will ask George and I in interviews, what do we look for in a candidate? And for the most part, George and I have the same kind of top 3, top 4 things. And one of the things is we don't necessarily say humble confidence, but what we say is we'll use, are you teachable? Are you coachable?
Yeah.
Basically, are you open to learning?
Yep. And unlearning.
And unlearning. Are you open to asking good questions? Are you open to, and we'll ask questions like, how would you handle this situation? And what we're kind of looking for is someone who's saying like, I don't know, but I'll figure it out.
Right.
Or
Option 5.
I'm not for sure the answer, but can I get back to you?
Right.
Those are things that we're learning and listening for to understand if this person is humbly confident, humbly confident.
Yeah, I'll go with it.
Yeah. So are they teachable? Are they coachable? Are they willing to accept feedback? Do they get defensive? Are they able to admit when they're wrong? Those are the sort of things that we ask for, and we structure our interview questions because we want to know right from the get-go. Is this person going to come with a certain level? We know you're competent. We can tell by different tests and your experience that you're probably pretty competent in what you're doing.
Yeah.
But we really are going after, are you humble?
Right.
Are you teachable?
I think the Western society in general has a high value on people that have a high confidence. You think about your key CEOs and leaders, you tend to think of them, although I think if you spent a lot of time with those key leaders and CEOs, that may not always be true. There are certain ones that are, but you think of them as being confident. Like they just have surety about everything they say and do.
Right.
And man, as a society, and even some of the traditions that I grew up in, that was so attractive because it made things black and white. It made things sure or true and false. Like there was no space between. It was either you had, I'll just say it, you either had true doctrine, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or you were cast out and you were not actually living in whatever you believed.
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep it that.
Yeah. Whatever that was.
That's the parallel.
Yep.
But I think that instead saying, you know what, there is so much space between that. There's so much space to see the certain circumstances or the context of the moment or the perspective that we just can't see. I don't know what's going on in that person's personal life, and why they might be acting the way they are. And maybe I'm going to respond to their posture, which might be negative or controlling or whatever that is, with a equal and opposite reaction of I'm going to push against you just as hard, rather than saying, man, I want to have some empathy here. That's, I think that's another word that goes with humble confidence.
Oh, without
having
question.
a strong sense of empathy.
Yep.
We had a client years ago that was really I was in a tough place. It was hard to work with this person, and we couldn't figure out why we weren't clicking. We couldn't put our finger on it. It was like, maybe it's just the person. Well, after a period of time, I ran into this person outside of work, and we weren't working with him anymore. The relationship had fallen apart, which happens. It's business. And come to find out, that person was going through some massive family changes during the time while they were working with us. Now, had I had that perspective, I might have had a much different posture.
Another layer of the onion peels back.
Right.
Yep.
And so that I think that I've been humble enough to say, can we sit down and talk about what's going on? Like, why is this the posture that we have towards each other? We don't need to be working this way. We could do great work together. What's keeping us from that?
Right.
I think at the moment we were stressed because we needed to pay the bills for the company. This person was stressed because they were going through something personally in their life.
Right.
And we weren't able to have a humble confidence about how we might be able to work great together.
Yep.
And hindsight, I go, oh, that's too bad, right? We didn't have that perspective. I think so. A Western society definitely values that kind of high confidence. Not always so, but traditionally more of an Eastern worldview would have more of a tribal mindset. So what's best for the group?
Yep.
And so they want to have some humility and respect is very important. Sometimes to a fault, right? So there's a respectful hierarchy of class systems and things like that. But instead, where do we value the perspective of the master apprentice? Where do we value the perspective of someone who actually has eldership to us and has been through some stuff and has something to share?
Yep.
I think that's interesting especially given where we live and where we are.
Yeah.
How to shift our minds a little bit to maybe not the black and white, but holding things loosely and going, I can't see all the perspectives of what's in play here.
Yep.
I have a lot to learn.
Yeah, absolutely. So if we were hired to go in and assess a team on, is my team, do they portray humble confidence? What would be a list of things? And these may not be the exact things, but if we were to just fire off some things we would look for, questions we might ask, what do you think those might be?
I think maybe I'd flip it around and say I'd be looking to see if they're asking questions.
Yeah, that was going to be the first one I said too.
Yeah. Well, I said it before.
Dang it. Yeah, no, seriously. Yeah, the people that I've met that I've been like, wow, like I kind of want to
be like
you.
Yeah.
You know, the people that are like, man, I hope when I'm at this phase of life or this stage of life or at your age, like I would hope that what's true of you right now would be true of me. They ask really good questions and they're actually genuine about it. The questions are caring. And even when they're asked in a, almost like you're giving a critique or giving feedback, they ask in a disarming way. That shows a level of humility because you're showing a level of care. Of you want to be direct. But you also want to be loving in your tone and in your body language. And you also want to communicate, I care for you. I would look for those things in the team.
I think even you talked about body language. I think little things, just like how that person interacts in the space, how they might come up. Now, different people are going to have different postures that they're normal with or that they're comfortable with. So, maybe somebody's not as extroverted or introverted or whatever term you want to use there. Maybe people have a bubble. That's fine.
Right.
But that ability to maybe make eye contact, that ability to kind of lean into a conversation and really seek out, how are you doing? Maybe even asking, you seem...
What are you working on over there?
Yeah. What are you doing?
Yeah.
We had someone come into the office recently and talk about this idea of being nice versus kind, right? I think it's a person that's kind. It's a person that's saying, you know what, I'm going to lean into a really hard conversation with you because I really care. And I think those are the postures and the things that I think I would look for or be kind of trying to pick up on. Also, if they are, for lack of better words, always looking to blame someone else, it tends to be when you're passing blame, you've lost the ability to be humble enough to say, you know what, own that, need to get better at it. I'll work on improving next time. Yep. And that passing of the buck, that drives me crazy. Yeah. And I do it. I know I do it too sometimes. But passing the blame, and then I think that leads to then people needing to be micromanaged. Yep. Because it's like, well, I can't trust that they're going to do anything. And so you start to see not only the person, but just the environment is set up that way. Yep.
I think we would also look at team makeup. Do they have people with different roles?
Yeah, right.
Is it a meeting full of business analysts or designers or developers, or is there a mix of everyone? So we would look for, are they asking for, you know what, this is how I've worked my mind around this problem, but then they fill that in with, I don't know if I'm seeing this clearly, or I've been staring at this too closely. What do you guys think? Yeah. Or we listen for things like, poke holes in this. I'm really confident here, but I know I don't know everything. Poke holes in this. Yeah. Where are my blind spots? Inviting in critique in that way, for me, is a key sign that a team is operating in a confident, that they can accomplish a lot, but they're also humble.
Yeah. Now, we're leaders in our organization. What do you think it looks like for a leader specifically to be humble and confident?
That's a really good question. So there's this concept. I did not create it, but I love it. It's Jim Collins talks about it a lot. It's called a level 5 leader. He mentions a lot of different attributes of that, but the one that stuck to me is like, you can recognize a level 5 leader when you walk into a room or they don't insist. You may not even know that they're a leader, basically. In a lot of these, like really, Fortune 50, a lot of times you may not know who the key leaders are. Yeah. He's big into saying that level 5 leaders, those that are humble, when things are going well, you don't know they're there,
right?
Because they're putting other people first,
right?
They're giving other people credit. When things are going wrong, that's when you see their name by.
Interesting.
What's going wrong? They put themselves in front. They protect the team. They take ownership. They take accountability. And so there's this.
I just go run and hide. I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. Run for the hills. It was all them. It's all their fault.
It's almost like there's this quiet sense of self. I think level 5 leaders have a quiet sense of self. They understand their strengths. They're very self-aware. They know who they are, what they're good at, what they're not good at, and there's security there.
Yeah.
It's like the recognition, it comes, but not because they're forcing it.
Yeah.
It's not that they're asking for it. It comes because they are leading so well that people are willing to follow. And I think one of our mentors has said before that if you want to lead well, you have to follow well. Because following puts you in this mode of like, I'm going to learn from you. I'm going to watch you. I'm going to observe you. Things that I see that I want to be like, I'm going to emulate. I'm going to mimic.
Yep.
Those are all things that basically say, I don't have it figured out and I want to learn from you. I'm the apprentice. You're the master. And so level 5 leaders, I think consistently, even though they may be at the top, they understand that they're still following someone.
Right.
A CEO still has a board to report to. They're reporting to the chairman.
Yep.
The chairman has to report to, at some point,
investors.
The investors.
Yeah, right.
We're all accountable to someone. And so I think a level 5 leader, no matter what level they're at, they realize that they're in a continual posture, if you will, of humble confidence, which is like, I'm still following someone and I need to learn how to follow well.
And I think most of the leaders that I know that do that well, they remove themselves being the bottleneck to their leadership.
Absolutely.
So they don't feel like every decision has to be approved through them.
Right.
Because they know that can't scale. We've talked about that between you and I. We know that if Crema is going to survive and grow and scale and flourish and thrive, lots of good words there, that we cannot be the bottleneck of the organization. And there are seasons when we are, and there's seasons that we're not. There's seasons that we like, maybe things aren't going as well, so we might have to step back in and kind of help or do X, Y, and Z. I mean, transparently, we're kind of coming out of a season right now where maybe you and I committed to a little bit too much, right? And we can recognize that, we can name it and go, hopefully we're humble and confident, or holding things loosely enough to go, you know what, some of those things I can let go of. Some of those things we don't have to do right now. And that way, I'm not the bottleneck to that work getting done, or I can empower someone else to do that. Not force them to do it, but to say, you can make this decision on your own. You don't need to run it by me.
Right.
And especially things that it's like, that really, you've got this.
Right.
I believe in you. I'm confident in you. Empowering other people is a really, I think, really key piece that.
I think you're right. I think you're spot on. I think empowering people, I think we see when we look for leaders that are humble, that are also confident, they have a relentless pursuit of making those that they are leading better. They are constantly asking, what do you need from me? How can I support you more? What resources do you need? And even asking questions like, where have I failed you?
You're good at asking that.
What do you need me? What do you need from me that I'm not giving you? How can I change? There's this level of just true, like, I want to serve you. I mean, servant leadership, it's kind of cliche, but I'm a big believer in it.
It's real.
Yeah, it's a real thing. Yeah.
Well, and it creates a learning loop, right?
Absolutely.
So we go back to where are our learning loops? It creates, I think a humbly confident leader is paying attention. So go back to our loops. They're paying attention. They're collecting ideas from their team and from maybe their peers in the industry or from their mentors, et cetera. They're then making decisions that hopefully is empowering other people to do great work. They're running experiments across the organization to say, you know what, we can work better, we can do better. How might we be better? And then they're iterating on that to refine their organization, their own leadership style, their own teams, and then they're willing to say, you know what, guys, I want to share with you what I know. I want to teach that. Again, those are the learning loops, and I think you create those rhythms and those disciplines of listening, asking lots of really good questions, leaning into saying, oh, interesting, I hadn't considered that. It's not my idea. Crazy thing. I didn't have to come up with all the brilliant ideas.
I think the last thing, gosh, it's not the last thing.
There's so much more on this.
I love the idea of it goes under level 5 leader, also goes with multipliers. It goes with some other things that we're talking about, is that leaders are, if they have ambition, it's for the greater purpose.
Mm-hmm.
They are hook, line, and sinker bought into the purpose of the organization, whatever that is.
Yep.
They will fight for it. They're not fighting for themselves. They're fighting for the cause, whatever that may be.
Yeah.
And they are just relentless at making sure that those around them are getting better so that we can get to our intended vision, whatever we're marching towards.
Yeah.
I don't want you to get better so that I can flourish more.
Right.
Like, this is not,
Right. It's not so I can buy a yacht.
self-centered. Yeah. It's not, you are not here so that I can buy whatever this is.
Whatever that boat is on the background.
Yeah.
Which, if you're not watching us on YouTube, you should check it out. It's beautiful.
I think that's Venice. Anywho, and there's a gondolier there as well. Yeah. No, I am building you up so that we can accomplish our mission together.
Yeah.
I think that's what you look for when you look for leaders that are humble and confident.
So maybe you're a leader. I hope that you can hear this, take this to heart, and go, how can you challenge yourself to create new disciplines, new postures, and maybe start to think about changing the structures that you have influence over to create an environment that fosters humble confidence, to maybe create a space that you individually will be more humbly confident. If you're not a leader, I want to encourage you that this is also an incredible way for you to grow.
Mm-hmm.
So when you think about being humbly confident, you're going to say, I'm humble enough to know that I'm hungry to learn more, and I'm confident to know that I can learn more. Right. And so those two things in tension, they're great litmus tests to kind of check yourself.
Yep.
Because you can go, am I being confident or am I being cocky right now?
Yep.
Am I being humble or am I being self-deprecating right now?
Right.
And how can I lean in to go, I'm going to be a little uncomfortable for a little while, but I'm going to hold this loosely because we have a lot to learn and we have the potential to do some great things right now.
Right.
Yeah. Get awesome. So excited. So you're going to hear that those two terms. Why the reason we wanted to talk about humble confidence right now? We've finished up talking about our postures, disciplines, and structures. We've talked about our learning loops, but we're realizing that one of the primary drivers for the success here at Crema is this attitude. This posture infiltrates almost everything else we do here at Crema. We had a meeting recently, and then we can close up. I know I've got 15 more stories that we can talk about on this, but we don't have time. But I do have, we had a meeting the other day and something came up within the organization that the team was saying, I don't think it should be that way. Or they didn't want to do something a certain way. They said, that's not actually aligned with our values. And one of our leadership members said, that's exactly who Crema is. And the point was, what they didn't want is they didn't want change.
Mm-hmm.
It had nothing to do with the values. Actually, the value, if they looked at it, would have been, we can humbly accept that doing something at a particular time every day is a gift of generosity, which is one of our values,
mm-hmm.
to our clients or to our teammates. But the true Crema-ness of it was the willingness to make that change, the willingness to say, I've been holding loosely the way that I work today, and I'm really comfortable working that way every day. But we're going to adapt and change to better serve our clients, to better serve our peers, and to be really generous with our time and our talents.
That is Crema.
That is Crema. And that's what he said. He goes, that is Crema.
That's exactly what we do.
Yeah,
right.
And I loved that because that's, I hope people can pick that up and say, I want to do that. I want to do work like that at my organization or on my team.
Otherwise, the Kool-Aid we're making is not working.
I mean, we're mixing it really thick.
I mean, several glasses a day, people.
Yeah.
Come on.
Man, I enjoy these conversations, Dan.
This was one of my favorites.
I agree. This and posture. I mean, this is a pretty core posture for us.
And laughing and smiling is what I do.
Smiling.
It's so fun.
I like clapping.
Makes you feel better.
My daughter is the best clapper in the world. She has the loudest, most clear sounding clap. It's ear piercing. It's incredible.
I love that.
Well, yeah, you love it until you're in the car with it. And it's just like, stop it. I know you like the song.
There's a lot of things that I love that shouldn't happen in the car. Like boisterous laughter.
Yeah. Really noise of
really
any kind.
loud singing. It's like, oh, inside voice, please. Inside voice.
Yeah. Be quiet.
That's right. Daddy's thinking.
I'm driving. I'm in my own space up here. Thank you guys again for listening to another episode here of Option 5. We are just having a blast making these episodes, and we really love hearing from you. I hope this has been useful for you and your teams. I don't want you to just sit here and listen and only consume. I want you to contribute to our conversation. So send us an email, option5@crema.us. If you haven't already, subscribe to this podcast on your podcast platform of choice. But even if you don't use it, will you please go over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review? It's really how the world gets to know that we exist. And if you haven't already, we moved all of our episodes of the new season, new chapter, if we want to call it that.
If you will.
Of Option 5 on YouTube, we moved those over to its own channel. So look up Option 5 on YouTube. Subscribe there if you're watching us there. Thank you. It's good to see you. Hello. And always check out our background. It changes every week. There's really no rhyme or reason as to what we pick. We just kind of search the internet. We find a cool picture and we throw it up.
Runs the gamut of life, really.
I mean, I hope you guys got to see the goats in the tree. We can throw back to that. The Star Trooper Lego guy walking away
Stormtrooper.
Stormtrooper.
Stormtrooper. Way off.
We're not qualified nerds. As always, please share these episodes out with your bosses, with your peers, and keep learning. Be humble and confident.
Stay classy. Sorry. That's probably also copyrighted. Dang it. Scratch it.
See you guys next time.
My name is Pamela, and I'm a product designer at Crema. I architect the visual design and user experience of our products. I mostly work with the strategists, developers, and product managers on a daily basis. I enjoy working at Crema because of how intentional we are at everything we do, from our process to the people that come through our doors. Option 5 is a podcast by Crema, a digital product agency that creates web and mobile apps for disruptive companies and industry leaders. We believe that design, tech, and culture can help create a world where individuals and companies thrive. Learn more at crema.us.